Good evening, Dr. Roush. Hi, and fellow students. My name is Brian Bailey, and I'm doing the Week 4 um reading program assignment. And just a little bit of background. I currently work as a reading instruction or teacher with 7th grade students in a small rural county district here in Southwest Florida. And I really enjoy working with the Read 180. It's actually I've had lots of experience with credit recovery programs such as iReady Math, iReady Reading, GD Academy, GD Top 50, Read Natural, Plato, and a couple other programs that are no longer in use. I find that credit recovery and working at the student's pace is probably should be the model that education services should be in the United States, but that's open for opinion and argument. All right, so let's talk about the Read 180 program. And when I'm looking down Dr. Roush, I'm referring back to my notes. Okay, so a little bit about the Read 180 program itself. It was originally created back in 2005 to meet the needs of credit recovery, and it was updated in 2008 and 2012. And of course, along the way, there's been numerous updates and patches to correct any algorithmic problems that it may have. And the software I'm using now since it was dated 2012, is 2017. It's over 5 years, and it's kind of nearing the end of its lifespan, unless they can get a new upgrade or maybe some kind of new patches installed into the server. It's a very expensive upfront program. However, it does cover almost all the facets of URL differentiated instruction. And in the long run, school districts will see a significant return on their investments with the number of students who are making gains, even graduating out of Read 180 based on Lexile scores. So where they don't need all the excess interventions to assist them with the reading skills. Okay. All right, so a couple of notes about Read 180. Okay, it's also known as System 44, which is for really low-level students who are in desperate need of constant RTI interventions, and it's also called SRI Scholastic. Okay? The SRI is a test that is within the Read 180 system. It's given 3 times a year in the school year, which is beginning, the middle, which is right around Christmas time before Christmas vacation, and usually right around May, which is towards the end of the school year. Okay, it's based on the URL and differentiated instruction in 3 ways: small group, whole group, and then individualized computerized instruction. Okay, during a normal week, because the way my school district operates, we have A weeks and B weeks, and where I'm not sure how it operates. I've never quite figured it out, but depending on the week, the students at least will get 2 whole group instruction lessons for at least 20-25 minutes class period, which I use as an introduction of a new topic or reinforcing of a skill that the students really need to know for a chapter test at the end of the work. It's at the end of the workshop or the chapter in our workbook. And then I reinforce that with small group, where I meet with the students, talk to them about their folders and their reading, any problems that they might have in reading, offer them some strategies. And then I also have a para who will assist me with that as well. And she also oversees to make sure the students are on task doing their computer assignments. Okay. The scores are based on 0 through up to 1,300. This is just for the middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. Recently, I just tested over about 250 students on Lexile testing this week, and I'm proud to say that 15 of them have actually scored 1,000 points or over, which is the equivalent to 7th and 8th grade reading grade equivalents, have graduated out of the reading program. I collected the data, I turned it over to my principals, and I think they're going to promote those kids out of RTI reading and put them in some other meaningful classes. And I've had a good success this school year with promoting my students back in December of last year before Christmas vacation. I pulled another 10 kids out who graduated out of the program. So I've had good success with Read 180. So let's talk about how some of the things I like about the Read 180 and 4 or 5 major key points I found out about this system, and I really would like to talk about it because I'm excited about it. Um, and it does. It kind of just really motivates me to really learn how to do more, teach more reading interventions, more strategies, and teaching kids to read. Because having taught in the Florida prison system for over 10 years, and you see men, and grown men and women who cannot read, have this sense of hopelessness and desperation. When they just cannot read, they cannot understand, they cannot comprehend. It does. It breaks my heart. And I'm an avid reader myself. I pretty much read anything I can get my hands on, whether it's a Time magazine, a science fiction novel, even a cookbook. Once in a while, if I'm bored, I'll sit down with my mom and talk and discuss um, cooking recipes and such. And this was a catalyst on why I signed up for Grand Canyon University, is to learn more reading strategies, how to interpret more data, to become an effective reading teacher. Okay. All right. 5 major characteristics I found out about how the brain would work with Read 180. Okay. The first part is I would say it's adaptive technology. With that, it individualizes instruction with computers for the students. Okay. And basically, the program will look at the test scores where the students are having problems with certain words, different types of subject areas, and then right there it creates an academic plan just specialized for that student. And I think that's great because in this way the students can focus in and what they need to work with and to do better. Okay. Second thing I found out is something called brain and automaticity of Read 180 system. Now, I'm not sure what automaticity is. I'm going to have to do further research on that. But according to my research and consulting the Read 180 publishers text and other outside references, which Dr. Roush you'll see listed in my paper, accompanying paper with this project, it individualized skills practice, increases reading fluency, increases comprehension, and it makes it into manageable sets and where the pacing prevents cognitive overload. And that is major key right there. Cognitive overload. I have seen it many, many times in my education, classroom and testing administration career. Once a student reaches a certain level and they can't absorb any more information, that's it. They just shut down, and it's But something new that I found out about Read 180 is what they call the expanded recall model. Again, this is a new method to me, and I have to do more research. But according to Read Natural and Educational Leadership, some works I consulted. Basically, what it is with ERM, expanded recall model, it's repeated time intervals where the students will be given a set of 5 words, say like light bulb, cannon, cat, dog, and fish. And somehow along the way, and I've seen it when the students are working their assignments in Read 180, those words, light bulb, cannon, dog, cat, fish, will appear again, and then the students will constantly be hammered into spelling it right, pronouncing it right, using it in the right sequence, in the right way in communication skills. And also, it practices new skills, and the ERM helps bring new elements into an existing element. So this is my existing lesson, and again we're talking about light bulbs, dogs, fish, and something else. And then they're going to introduce the new topic as say the U.S. Navy, and they just kind of slide it in, and then basically they just keep building and building and reviewing until maybe the new topic they'll go from is this. Then they're talking about the Navy. Then they might introduce something more new about, like for example, aquatic wildlife like sharks, octopus, and whales, and all that other kind of stuff. And then it goes into another interesting point that I liked about Read 180 is the individualized instruction. This program is really good, and I'm sure there's other good programs out there, but the adaptive technology and individualized instruction that the kids get from this Read 180 system, it's like its own artificial intelligence. is right there with the kids and talking to them, kind of working them along. And basically the data. Okay, we get data several ways out of the Read 180 system. We have biweekly progress reports where we run their computer assignment scores on comprehension, word fluency, spelling, and vocabulary within the workshop or the associated workshop and or the chapter. Okay, we use what they call the R skills, which is a computerized test of just what we learned about in the chapter. Like they'll ask comprehension questions like, what is the biggest ship in the U.S. Navy? Or they might ask application questions like, what will fly off an aircraft carrier? Or they might ask you something like, if pollution, continues, what's going to happen to the whales and dolphins? Stuff like that. And then, of course, other skills are worked in, such as vocabulary skills, reading strategies, punctuation, communication, capitalization. So, and then you get data that way. And then, of course, you have your Lexile testing, which is where it determines where you're going to place your students in one of three groups, whether it's red teams, which are your higher Lexile students who don't really need that extra push, who just need just a little extra one-on-one to hopefully graduate them. Then you have your blue teams and green teams, which are your lower level students, which are anywhere from like 900 and below, maybe 850, depending on what students you have, number of students you have in your class. And those are the students that you really work with, are the blue and green teams, who are a lot of your ESE and ESOL students who are not used to the English language and who need that extra help to move them on. So in summary, especially with the data, and the students are able to see their data in real time, as is either I or the para can sit down with students, have a data chat, as my principal calls it. And I think that's a pretty cool moniker that my principal, she came up with, a data chat. And then the students are motivated to learn because they see the results. They know that they're struggling with vocabulary, but they're getting through it. Then, in a small way, they're going to get motivated to do that. Okay. And then they see the ownership and they take the ownership and progress over time. So basically, that's the Read 180 program in a nutshell. I think it's an excellent program, and if the school districts can afford it, I think they should look at it and possibly make an attempt to buy into it. Okay, thank you for watching my video, and have a good evening.